Good evening and welcome to EvilGinger Miniatures, where I'm going to be doing a bit of a chat about things EvilGinger and a project that has sort of crept up on me. Now, I might have shown these before. I can't remember whether I did or not on YouTube. I know I did on Facebook. But these are made 40s, really, really lovely 1940s Dutch troops. These are from the original release, and they are being supplemented stroke replaced by some new sculpts which aren't released yet. I've seen some of those and they are also absolutely gorgeous. I have a section painted at the moment and I may have more on the way, but I was looking to build a platoon for them, and basically 3 sections of a commander is a Dutch platoon. I'm probably going to be using them initially as a border infantry unit and buying some of the support stuff from here for chain of command. Now, this led me on a bit of a thing, who to fight. Could fight the SS, don't like the SS, don't want more models of the SS than I strictly need. Vaguely tempted to have used them for Poland in 1939 because they were a peculiar unit under these rules, because they were both green and fanatic, and that struck me as an interesting idea, but that's as far as it got with it. It was just an idea, and I'm not that knowledgeable about the Eastern Front, whereas I am about the Low Countries, particularly about the episodes in Belgium. But there are very few Belgian 28mm figures about, and I'm hoping to bully May 40 or his sculptor into doing some of those at some point, some Belgians at some point, because I would like a 28mm Belgian force. I have got a 20mm Belgian force, and I'm probably going to be getting a 20mm Dutch force. But who do they fight? And I was looking through this book, and I discovered that the Germans had an infantry division, sorry, a cavalry division in 1940, and it went through Holland, and it went through Belgium, and it ended up in France. So we have a unit which can fight these Dutch, the future Belgians, and the French. And so I am going to be building half a company or half a squadron, I suppose. I don't know whether the Germans used infantry, or cavalry, but basically half 2 platoon equivalents of cavalry to fight 2 platoon equivalents of Dutch. Looking for particular figures has been proved a bit difficult, as nobody does dismounted cavalry for the early war. There are some later war ones, but they are in the grenadier style uniforms with long boots because they're cavalry and you wear long boots for cavalry. But it would appear that apart from little things like collar piping, the dismounted troops were exactly the same as the infantry. The organisation is very similar to the infantry, and the few mounted troops I can get hold of would be used for maybe a squad kept mounted as a reserve, and that sort of thing. And I can probably organise some horses and some horse holders for the dismounts. Again, chain of command is fought at very close range, so it's most of the time the cavalry would be dismounted before the action, having used their horses as transport rather than as a part of their weapon set. Probably also going to get some armoured cars because I like early war German armoured cars, and the 222, 221 are a nice mix, and I rather like the Warlord. Multiple vehicle platoon. So the big chain of command at the force would be two platoon equivalents of cavalry and one of armoured cars. Again, armoured cars are the classic mechanised support for horsed cavalry. I'll also be going through this and getting some of the specific support options for cavalry division, but most of those appear to be additional armoured cars and the funny little armoured car that wasn't used very much except very early on. Got used a lot for once it was off the front line, it got used a lot for counterinsurgency style work because it was completely open topped. It was a bit like a bigger armoured Kubel wagon with a big open top on it. KF 13, used in Poland, apparently used a little bit in the West, but it was going into sort of second line service. The other thing is that the infantry that the Germans will be using to back the cavalry up are very much second line troops because they don't have quite the equipment, and some of their equipment is still Great War level in that their machine gun is an MG08 or MG18 rather than the MG34. So you're talking. So I'm going to use the plastics, which is the plan. All the plastics. I can nick spare machine guns from the World War I Germans that I've got to make up because War Games Atlantic give you too many machine guns for the numbers that the Germans tended to use in World War I. They'll get used for World War II as sort of to model a second or third wave unit, which will be backing up the cavalry. Cavalry are equipped with the classic German stuff. It's just that they're a bit more mobile than foot infantry, which is what the other unit will be. So that is pretty much what I'm going to be doing. I will be getting some mounted figures, but they'll be used mostly because most manufacturers appear to do 2 packs at most, maybe 3, and you're going to get very little variety of figures, so you will have maybe a squad mounted rather than the whole platoon. I'd like the whole platoon as an option if you needed to move in rapidly to an area and do that. The plan is to do a large chain of command game. Potential venue will be Books and Banter because there are rumours that it might be on the opening at some point soon. So we'll have to do it there, and it will be a nice thing to do. I hope I have very many figures painted for it in 28mm. All I have is my is these and some later war stuff, but I can work on that. It gives me something to do on the side while I'm waiting for things and while I'm doing other people's commissions in order to remain at least functional. In other news, I'm working on that huge on the 40k commission, which you'll see more pictures of tomorrow because they're all work in progresses and work in progress Wednesday tomorrow. And I am also doing some little Hordes and Heroes stuff, which again there will be pictures of. I've done it before for the same chap, and whilst they're a bit of a chore to get started, they come out really nicely when they're finished, and these are beginning to come together, and I should have them done with it by the weekend. I've also got some D&D models which I've already posted pictures of, which are just at the I need to varnish this stage, which will again be done tomorrow, and they'll be going out on Friday to the nice young man that commissioned them. some blue dragon kobolds, a dwarf wizard, and some dwarf Durgar zombies, which are particularly I like because they're an exercise in speed paint and washes from Midland Miniatures, which are these people, and I'm probably going to be getting a pack for myself of these because I think they would make excellent zombies for the Frostgrave game that I intend to run at Books and Manta. As soon as it reopens, and I finish the scenery that I put on hold because they were closed. The scenery is over there and has not been very assembled, but I have got more of it than I had to start with, so I've just got to build it onto the bases and paint it. But again, I'm prepared for that. I have the primer and all the bits and pieces, and so that's a plan. Again, demo games will be a thing when we get a venue that I can do demo games in. There'll be weekend demo games, and we will. And you can meet me in person and be thoroughly traumatized by the experience. That's just bank stuff, which I really shouldn't have on camera. I didn't think it was on camera, but don't want a business account hacked. Thank you. Much appreciated if that's not hacked. So, the kobolds, Reaper and frameworks like the dwarf. Again, there's a lot of options in the dwarf, though I will admit that I didn't use the base it's on because I didn't realise it was a base till after I'd assembled everything and stuck it to a ground base. And I replaced the clear base because I don't like them with a MDF one because I have piles of MDF bases floating around the place. The kobolds also went on 20mm MDF bases, which they fitted really nicely. Kobolds were a little bit more confusing to build because it was less intuitive as to what bits and pieces went where, unlike cleric, who are obviously human shaped, so vague knowledge of human anatomy meant you knew where the legs and the arms went. As I say, they're not bad models and they are relatively easy to assemble, but again I had to work out that they were hard plastic rather than resin because, and I worked out the hard way by attempting to super glue things together. Super glue isn't particularly sticky and you have to hold stuff again together while it sets, and as the super glue I've got has had a bit of air to it, it doesn't go off as quickly as you might like. And anyway, to cut a long story short, it worked perfectly well with plastic cement, the standard. This stuff works fine on them, but they look like a resin on a sprue rather than hard plastic on a sprue, which is where the confusion came from, at least in my, and possibly that I'm easily confused, who knows. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to these projects and showing more stuff off. There are also rumours of the KNLI Dutch East Indies Kickstarter being relatively soon, so I'm hoping to have that as a Christmas present, if not an early Christmas present. And I can build up from the 5 figures that I've got currently upstairs in the office. There's also a PC, in a proper PC rather than a laptop, in the near future. I've just got to work out what I want it to do, and I'm still playing with the editing and other software so that I can basically do edited things rather than just talk at you and do everything live. The other camera, the better camera that I've got, has decided not to talk to this computer for some reason. So I'm just using the laptop keyboard again. Otherwise, I would show you a bit more of the tidying up that I've done, because it is going on. It just seems to be endless. bit like painting the Forth Bridge. You start at one end and go to the other. You know, because you just cycle. Let's think. And of course, the other bits and pieces in the place will be sorted out, and these shelves will be, you know, I'll get some proper bookshelves to put my books in, rather than sort of, because this shelving behind me is probably better for working materials, so that I can have stuff around me and lots of stuff sorted out, and bits of scenery which I'll be showing a rephotograph in, and the stock take, which should have begun by now, but the gentleman who's going to do it for me, my lovely accountant, is unfortunately in a household full of the dread lurgy, so he can't come out. And frankly, I don't want a dread lurgy. I seem to have escaped the dread lurgy, though I have had a couple of really bad colds, which I thought might be, but I tested negative as soon as I could get the test done, which is an issue with my nose. But apparently I'm negative, but I'm looking forward to doing things. I'm looking forward to getting out and about. I'm looking forward to having a proper venue where we can get stuck in, and all the plans that got put on hold when Books and Banter closed temporarily can be put back into action, because there's loads of stuff I've got planned, and I might let some of you into it early on this sort of thing, as and when it's got somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to sit and plan my cavalry and have something to eat, and I'm going to leave you for the moment, and I will probably be back before the weekend, where I will be at Bosworth. Oh, that's important, right? Forget the outro. I'm going to be at Bosworth this weekend, if everything goes to plan. Might just be the Sunday, might be both days. But Andy Murby and John Martin are running their yearly War of the Roses battles using Nevermind the Billhooks, and I will be across on at least one of the days, touch wood, to talk to people and do my social thing and take these signs down and put them up on display down there, because there's a fantasy version of Nevermind the Billhooks, which I can show off, and I'm basically going to be using my Hobgoblin forces for that, and probably but this year, as usual, I'm not going to be taking an army. I will be basically taking some demo stuff and showing off to people what things will cover. But definitely Bosworth. Looking forward to Bosworth. I'm looking forward to introducing potentially some new people who've never been there to Bosworth. And no, I haven't got the date wrong, because normally the war game and the medieval thing are on the same day, same weekend. However, it's usually weekend before or weekend after the anniversary of the battle, which is the 21st. But so 400, 500 odd years tomorrow. But this time, the reenacty thing was last weekend, and the wargamey thing is this weekend. Should be less busy this weekend for people who don't like lots of people and get peopled out. And I haven't been around the display in quite a while, so I'm probably going to be sneaking out and doing a recce of the museum display there, because it's always cool to see and quite a lot of fun. Anyway, let's get back to the outro. If I don't see you at Bosworth, I'll see you next Tuesday with reports of stuff that went on at Bosworth, probably a great pile of photographs, because I'm taking the camera. The other one is still in the menders, and I don't know how fixable it is. I will, at some point, probably have a camcorder so I can redo the film of around the workshop without all the massive motion blur, and then I'll replace the one that's up here, because at least there are workshop pictures. And I can also do the office, because I can take it upstairs and record. So, take care, everybody, and I will see you, if not at Bosworth, then next Tuesday. Take care, and goodbye.